Anagrams, anagrams, anagrams. What are anagrams? Anagrams are probably the most underrated, underutilized, and yet powerful poetic techniques at your disposal. But what are they? They're simply words whose letters can actually be rearranged to form other words, all right? So classic examples of that would be whoever versus however, or mean versus main versus name versus amen. Y'all see that? Or even one, W-O-N versus own versus now. And those are just simple anagrams. There's actually special kinds or classes of anagrams that we can get into. For example, Scanograms, which are anagrams that are also synonyms. And by synonyms, I simply mean words that mean the same thing. So sometimes anagrams, even though the letters are rearranged to form a new word, those two words will mean the same thing. Classic examples of Scanograms would be angered versus enraged. Another special class of anagrams would be antigrams, or anagrams that are actually antonyms of one another, meaning anagrams that actually mean the opposite instead of the same thing. All right, one example of that would be restful versus fluster. To be restful means to be calm, and then to fluster means to make less calm. Y'all see that? Another example would be arise late versus earliest. And hey, here's another, antagonist versus not against. Antagonists are people who are your adversary or villain or opponent, and then not against means they're not your opponent, they're not your villain, they're not your adversary. You see that? And then finally, my favorite class of anagrams, reverse pairs. All right, they're also called levidromes or immordnilaps. All that means is that the word is read backwards to form a different word. A classic example of that would be flow versus wolf. As you can see, the same letters, they're just read in the opposite direction pretty much. Okay, because of our short attention spans nowadays, I know some of y'all are gonna be tempted to click off the video because I've already explained what anagrams are as well as their special classes. Don't click off, all right? It's not enough to just know what an anagram is to utilize it to your best ability. You still have to practice. So here's an exercise I would encourage y'all to do. You are going to write a poem that has at least 5 pairs of anagrams in it, and the poem needs to actually make sense, okay? So you can't just add the anagrams randomly throughout the poem and it don't make any logical sense. It has to make sense when you read it, all right? Here's what I came up with, and maybe this will inspire you. Dear readers, I dare you to read between the lines I've posted and tell me I'm not the dopest poet. Anyone who hears me share will know it. I'm the poet version of Allen Iverson, the one who lyrically breaks the ankles of any artist who tries to pump the brakes on my drive. My opponents know that no pen tops mine. Every artist I start to demolish wishes he could model his knowledge after my rhymes. I'm reviled in the hearts of my haters because I always deliver. Like my lines can rip out livers and end lives. My words are sharp like a sword and finer than silver. My foes desire a sliver of my gifts that reside inside. Each verse that I serve can sever a mind in two. Mind you, that's the kind of skill that kills if misused. You've never met a force that can fluster the restful quite like my metaphors. I be hand and fans anagrams that can derange the sane. My enemies are angered and enraged because they can't match the bars that slip from my lips. They stumble over my words in the same way that an open bottle of pills tumbles during a spill. My opposition should learn to keep silent and listen in the classroom when the schoolmaster speaks. Rather than learn, they choose to disrespect the teacher by copying like a cheater. If they had grown to focus in class, they would have known that disrespect is a wrong that I don't condone. My ops thought themselves to be gods until my rhymes put them down like dogs. They thought themselves alpha males until I made them stay in their lanes as lames. What a shame. When a beast beats betas, they can't take the heat of failure, so they hate both the game and the player. Yet they foolishly expect to get my scepter, which they don't respect fully, respectfully. Don't place bets against poems I design. Signed, the very best.